So let's talk about the cassettes. So we're going to start with the left side cassette. So normally it would have the axle and it had the cassette top on it, but we've removed that. So something very important about these cassettes is the location of the cassette. And there's a couple different locations that this can be placed in. However, we set our cassettes in one specific location, and that's where we leave them all the time. When you become more advanced at racing, you can think about changing and test some different things out, but we're always going to recommend the setting I'm going to show you right now. So there are 2 bolts in each cassette on the left and the right. And it's very important that you understand the difference between the left and the right cassette because they are not the same. Even though they look like they're the same when they are in the weldment here, they are not the same when we go ahead and pull them out of this weldment. So there's a washer on each side. So you know that. You saw me remove the snap pins. There's a washer that's stuck on the, we'll just leave it there. There's a washer on each side. So don't forget that when you go to put these together or back together or whatever. So let's pull that side off as well. And this has the caliper hook to it, but that's fine. It won't affect anything. What I would do is when you get a new car, these should be set in the right location when the assembly team puts it together. But I would always personally check the pill and cassette location just for peace of mind before I put it on the track, just to know that I was starting from ground zero and I had everything in exactly the right location that I want it to be in. So what I want to look at here is if you come over to here to this side, you'll notice that this weldment here has 2 options of which you can place this bolt. You'll notice on this side, it is in the lower hole. That is our standard setup, is putting these in the lower hole of the weldment through the cassette. You can't see it when the washer's on there, but it is clearly in the lower hole. Okay, so, and that's on the left and the right side. We want it to be in the lower hole. So let's remember that as we go through reassembly. So we're gonna pull these out, pull the bolts out, washers on each side. Set that down, set that aside. Now, I'm gonna pull this cassette out. And you're gonna notice that when I pull this cassette out, back over on this side, if you come over here, you're gonna notice that there are 2 pills in this cassette. These pills, I don't know if you can see the numbers that are etched on these pills. Can you see those? Okay. The zeros on the left side cassette should be top and bottom. 0, 0, 0, 0. This is our standard setting, okay? This is where you want to set your car. I highly recommend that you don't change any of this, that you leave it alone. Double check it, make sure that it's right coming from the factory, but this is the standard setup that you want to have on this car. You want zeros aligned on the left side of this car, zeros aligned vertically. This is exactly what the pill setup should look like, and we should be using the bottom holes on the weldment to bolt this cassette to the weldment itself. This is a very important part. The right side of the car is going to be different. It has a different pill setup, and we'll go over that here in a second. We want this at 0. So essentially, we're going to build this side of the car without any trail in it. If you were to move this axle backwards, which is what the pills allow you to do, you would be putting, you could put trail in the car essentially that way. You can lengthen the car out a little bit, but we're not gonna go into all that right now. We're just talking about the standard base setup and where your car should be set at. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this cassette back down in here. I'm gonna grab the bolts here real quick. And once again, I said the bottom holes. So I'm gonna line up the pill, the hole in the pill with the bottom hole in the weldment. I'm gonna wiggle that guy through. I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. Wiggle that guy through. I'm gonna go to the other side. I'm going to put the washers on over here. One washer is still stuck to the weldment. That's good. The nuts on. And then all I have to do is tighten these down and put the snap pins on, and then this is reassembled. Snug these down pretty good. This shouldn't have any play in it. It shouldn't move at all. And then you're good to go. Okay, so we did the left side cassette. Now we're going to do the right side cassette. So normally it would look like this. Cap comes off, has a bolt in the front, a bolt in the back. Each has a washer on each side, on the nut side and on the head of the bolt side. When we take these off, I already pulled off the snap pins, safety pins off the bolt on the other side. So I'm going to pull these off and pull the washers off. And then I'm going to pull these bolts out. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, the location of these bolts in the weldment is in the bottom hole. The bolts are in the bottom hole, okay? We don't use the top holes. We only use the bottom holes. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these out the rest of the way. That'll release the cassette from the weldment. When I pull it out, you'll notice that this one is different than the left side. So the right side cassette only has one pill in it. This pill, this has a very important setting that I want you to pay attention to. And so what I want you to see here is that the pill has an 1/8 inch marker that is to the back of the car, okay? Has an 1/8 inch marker that's to the back of the car. What this is actually doing is putting an 1/8 inch of trail in this car. That is moving the axle backwards to me, an 1/8 inch, and this car is built with an 1/8 inch of trail in it when we set it this way. If we were to set it with the zeros, it would have 0 trail. We do not want that. We want the standard setup for our cars to be an 1/8 inch of trail. And so you can see the location of this and how it goes in the weldment just like that. Okay, I know I'm a broken record, but this is the way and the standard setup that we want to run on this car. This is something I would highly recommend that you check on your car when you first get it. Pop these out real quick, take a look, go, yep, that's what the video shows. This is exactly how we want it to be. So once again, you see the little 1/8 inch mark, right? We want it back towards the back of the car, just like you see here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy back together. Bottom holes, get it through the pill, wiggle it through the cassette and the weldment, do the same on the front, and then we can just reassemble it with the washers and the nuts.